I wish I was here to talk about a way we've all learned to kill power, but instead of that, I'm going to talk about our new book that's out about how to build great brands by building fans. Now let's get this to work. This is my new book out, and I'm going to go through it and give you some of my thoughts about how great brands build fans. And the subtitle is How to Build a Growth Company in a Slow Growth World. Well, as I apply it to the golf business, it might be how to build a growth company in a no growth world, as we've learned to all live in a shrinking golf world. This is me on the stage of Radio City Music Hall in 2005, receiving the J.D. Powers Award for the best retail banking consumer service in America. And that is me in the red coat. And for you guys here, these Rockettes have unbelievable legs. That's all I can tell you. And the other side of the stage was 8,000 Commerce Bank team members in Radio City Music Hall as we set out to build a model and culture that changed banking in America. How do we create a growth company in a no-growth world? And if you can change the no-growth, slow-growth retail banking world, there should be no business that we can't change. Now, I'm going to tell three short stories. I hope all of you banked at Commerce Bank. It started at one office in South Jersey, grew to 500 in the Metro New York and Metro Philadelphia market. We grew from a staff of 9 to 16,000 people. And you can see the returns up top. This was a high-growth business in the slow-growth world of banking. Metro Bank is my newest venture. There hasn't been a new retail bank in Britain since 1830. 1830. So in 2010, we essentially took the Commerce Bank model to Britain, to a market that's completely starved for service and convenience and something new. And you can see all the bullet points are. One of the funny things about it, everything that worked in our banking model here works better in Britain. And finally, so Metro Bank is an example of an American model transported to Britain. I'm going to talk a few minutes about Pet Plan. It's a pet health insurance business, a model transported from Britain to the States. All of these companies are built around one theory, that service is what drives the growth in your business, and great brands learn how to build fans. Now, what do we mean by fans? Fans are people who come to your business, who are loyal to your business, and who bring their friends to your business. And the best example, every Apple user in this room is trying to convince their friends to switch to Apple. That's what it means to have fans. And when we talk about fans, we talk about building brands. So there's three types of brands. The brands on the bottom, basic brand. If you say Ford, we all know Ford means car, but nobody gets too excited. The next brand up the channel is, if you say a brand name, you feel good about it, your feelings are normally plus. But the third and the place we all need to get to is where the customer and the brand become one, where they become fans, when they are the brand. And that's the most important message of this slide. If we want to build great firms, great golf firms, great banking firms, great insurance firms, we have to learn to build a business model that builds fans. Now how do you build this fan brand base? Well, as you can imagine, I've spent more than a few years on this. So I think we can distill it down to three things. Great brands have three central parts. A business model that is very clear and the customer sees value added. What is different about every one of your golf courses? What's different about my golf course? How do we add value? How does our target market see something new and better? So the first step of any great business is a differentiated value-added model. Now, culture is the next thing. We all hear the word culture, and sometimes it doesn't have much meaning. In this context, it means the culture has to reinforce your model and has to be everywhere, every day. We see lots of different businesses where the model and the culture are opposed. That doesn't work. And finally, on a big scale, if we get this right, we need to fanatically execute our model. Our last year's commerce, we were getting 21 million customer visits, 21 million customer visits each month. That means 21 million people walk through our doors every month, and we had to make them happy 21 million times. We had to build a model and a culture designed to make our customers happy 21 million times. If we get this right, and we know it's a never-ending battle, we build fans. And at Commerce, we grew internally 25% a year, compounded forever. The normal growth rate for a bank in America is 2 to 3% a year. So we were essentially growing 10 times the normal bank growth rate. So a little story about Commerce. Those of you who bank with us, which I hope is most of you, and more importantly, those of you that own stock. So Commerce started at one branch in Marlton and ended up building 500 stores in these markets. All of you in New Jersey have seen lots of our stores. This is how you start with one office and 9 people with a different model and create a model that can be rolled across America. And this is a bunch of numbers for bank types, but it shows the bottom line is the most important thing. The stock market in our business, and you have different metrics, value high predictable growth. So along the bottom, it's the market cap of the company, the number of shares outstanding by the stock price. How much does the market value your company? So Commerce went from 1990, only had a market value of 24 million. By 2000, we were up to 1.5 billion, but look what happened by 2007. Went up to 8.5 billion. This should not happen in the banking business. We all think it shouldn't happen, but these are the facts that did happen. And all of us in the golf business, and I'm with you every step of the way, how do we define and refine our model to get us back on the growth track by adding value? So this is the one chart I framed from my days at Commerce. Forbes puts out every year a 20-20 club. These are CEOs of public companies that have served 20 plus years, that have a 20 plus compounded shareholder return over all those years. In that year, there were 7. This guy, Warren Buffett, whoever the hell he is, was one notch above us. And again, my point is for today's talk, this is in the no growth, dull, unexciting business of banking. We learned to develop a model and culture that turned it into a growth model. This is about stock price. You can see the compound growth rates up in the upper left. Stock price went up 23% compounded for as long as I could count. Now, as I said earlier, there hasn't been a new bank since 1830. I keep saying that to myself because I can't believe it. There are 5 banks in Britain, basically, and there's 7,000 in America. This is our newest branch in Britain. And for those of you that bank with us here in America at Commerce, you'll see the red is exactly the same red, and the look is pretty much the same. And if I didn't say before, everything we did here works better in Britain. Again, our model that we developed here works better there. This is all the stuff you see from Commerce, 7 days, all this kind of stuff. You don't need to know that. That's all bank talk. So I got off a plane in London. I knew one person in London. We opened in 2010, and this is what happened. The reds are open and the whites are coming this year. The point I'm making here is if you have a right model, a value-added model, and a culture to match your model, you can create value in any business, any place. Now, model. Everyone has to have a different model. Your model's different than my model. Your golf model's different than our golf model. But our model has to be very clear and add value. The world does not need another Me Too bank, another Me Too golf course, another Me Too golf club. The customer has to see value added. So what did we mean in model in the banking business? We saw ourselves as a retailer, not a bank. Power retailer and all these things. The core of our business was convenience and service that no one else could supply, produced this tremendous growth. So that was our model. Now here's the culture. Create a culture to match your model. I can't emphasize how important that is to you. Your culture must be very clear and everywhere. And this little yellow phrase is for our staff we're recruiting. We tell our people to buy into our culture or opt out. In other words, get on the train or go someplace else. And the Brits, I have to report to you, love to say no as their first answer to every question. So it's a little bit of a culture change. Hire for attitude, train for skill. Almost no one in this room, including me, have jobs to fill that we can't technically train people to do. Our jobs aren't that hard, but how do we get them to deliver in a way that adds value and builds fans? We have a simple rule. If an applicant doesn't smile during the first job interview, that's it. Because if they don't smile then, they're never going to smile. Overtrain over all this corporate stuff. Now, our execution and your execution is not that different. To execute right, everybody from the top down has to believe in your model. Fanatical belief in your model. You have to overinvest, and we have to demand that our people get it right 100% of the time. We physically shop in Britain, our stores, every other day with a human shopper who makes sure we're delivering what we promised. We have a simple rule in Britain that we had in America too. When we get asked something by a client, we have one person can say yes, but it takes two people to say no. Our people are not allowed to say no. And I can't tell you with the Brits, I got to work on this a lot. And then we have an endless no stupid rule policy. And I'm going to show you a few stupid bank rules in a minute. Every one of you in this room at your golf course has stupid rules that they're there for no reason and they should be gone. Mike Killian, my director of golf, knows he hears about this from me all the time. Why do we have these endless stupid rules? Get rid of them. And I'll show you a few stupid bank rules. Why shouldn't your retail bank be open when you want to go to the store? Why shouldn't it be open every day? So in Britain, we only close 3 days a year. Many of you, I'm sure, used our coin counting machines at Commerce. Every man, we're not sure about these women with coin. My wife says you make exact change. But at Commerce and now in Metro, we have free coin counting machines. You come in, you put your jar of coins in, and you get the money. You don't have to bank with us to use them, and they're free. It's about building fans. Why do you charge for range balls? Anybody here still charges for range balls? Should stop today. I mean, how stupid can we be? They're paying to play golf with us. Pens. For those of you who've been at a branch bank recently, they have a pen anchored to the counter. We have got to protect that pen. It's the most important thing we got to do. As you see in that jar of pens, my last year at Commerce gave away 28 million pens. And I'd be very happy to give away another 28 million pens. And my goal in life was to have 4 pens in every household in the 9 states we're operating in. No, but everybody else is going to anchor that pen because we don't want them to take that pen. On the bottom left, banks have vans that run around between the branch locations. There's nothing in them but dead checks. There's nothing of value. But when's the last time you saw a painted bank van if it wasn't mine at Commerce? We got to protect those dead checks so security can't paint your marketing message on it. So here's what we do at Metro, and I'm sure you saw it at Commerce. We paint our marketing message on, just like every other retailer would. And yes, that is my dog. And banks generally on both sides of the Atlantic will not let you bring your dog into the branch bank. God forbid you should bring the dog in. They want you to tie your dog outside the branch. That sounds like a plan. My wife was shopping in Manhattan. When I mean shopping the other banks, and they wouldn't let her bring our dog into the branch. And she called me on her cell phone. Is there some rule about this, some law? Because we have lots of laws in the banking business. I said no. So we put in this dog's rule program. Bring your dog in, we know his name, we give him a treat, we give him a dog bowl to take home. And what does that say to the consumer? The consumer says, if you love my dog, you love me. And I might report in Britain that everybody brings their dog to play golf. All the top golf courses around London, everybody's got their dog out there. Why don't we let people bring their dogs? Our course at Galloway does, of course. I called and said that's the end of a stupid rule we had. So I say to yourself, if we're going to encourage people to play, if they can play with their dogs on the world-class courses in Britain, what is wrong with us? Now, this is some Metro Bank lingo. We always like words that convey our message. Amaze means deliver service experiences that exceed their expectations. If we're in the service business, we want the customer leaving say, my God, that was much better than I ever expected. And I may have it further back, I forget where I have it, about branding. Everything we all do, every day, makes our brand weaker or stronger. Every one of you that have golf courses, from the time they drive through the gate, to the way your scorecard's designed. Do you charge for tees? I mean, my God, some of you charge for tees. Everything makes your brand weaker or stronger, everything. So Amaze is the answer guide, I won't talk about that. Crap, remember this is bank talk, so crap, competitors' rules, crazy rules that you won't find at our bank. Again, how many stupid rules do you guys have? Customers. The people that pay our salary. Now, in the banking business, it's easy to get overrun by audit and compliance and legal, and they lose track of why we're here. Customers pay our salaries. Retailtainment, this is a word from Commerce. There's no need to go to the store today or go to the bank unless something else is happening. There has to be a fun component. If you haven't been in an Apple store, you should go and watch how they've transformed the simple idea of buying a piece of computer equipment into fun. It's impossible to walk out of an Apple store and not grin. Well, that's what my job is in the banking business, and I would say to all of you, that's what our job is in the golf course business. Shareholders, you don't have any of those. So there's two stories in banking, how we've created growth companies in no growth world. Now, let's talk about pet insurance, because the same rules apply. 1/3 of the pets in Britain have health insurance. It's $300 or $400 a year for a $20,000 annual limit. 1/3 of the pets have pet insurance in Britain. Less than 0.5% in America do. 2 kids from Britain were going to school at Wharton, had a sick cat, couldn't afford a $5,000 bill, and there's lots of $5,000 bills in the pet business, and got the American license for the largest company in the world, Pet Plan. They had no money, no relationships, and no idea. Had never been in any business. And they turned this into a multi-million-dollar business. This is some stuff about pet insurance. That's not really our point, but for those of you who don't have pet insurance, it's gopetplan.com. The point I want to make about this thing, and there's my dog again. These 2 kids built this as a pet business, not an insurance business. In other words, they think their customer is the dog. They know his name, they send him birthday cards. They've made it fun. They've created this retailtainment that buying insurance is fun. And that's what we all need to do, especially in the golf business. It can't be a business, it has to be fun. I'll skip that. Now, this slide is really for other things, but I'll talk about it for a minute, about what our jobs are of people that found these golf courses and companies and manage them. I see my job is to develop the model, install the model. Remember, I'm talking about Brits here. Instill the model, enforce the model, and improve the model. If the Apple 6 is not better than the Apple 5, they have destroyed their brand. If we don't deliver a better golf experience to our customers this year than we did last year, we failed. And this is for our management team, might apply to some of yours. Understand the model. That's hard sometimes. Embrace the model. Either get it or get out is my theory. Instill the model again to their team. Deliver the model every day, and of course work with the founders to improve the model. If we don't improve our model team, we're not going to be around. And just a few closing words, and I'll be happy to take any questions or comments. And if for some reason you would like me to sign your books, I'm happy to sign them. Emotional brands create value. If we can create this kind of brand in the banking business, everybody in this room has got a golf course. I think it's a little easier than creating an emotional brand in the banking business. Building fans creates brands. This thing about fans is, as you can see, what drives my models. Your brand is who we are, what the customers expect. Who we are, what our customers expect. What are each of us doing stupid today to destroy our brand? Always improve your model. Every decision will strengthen, and great brands create great value. I think that's it. Thank you for your time.
Vernon, whatever possessed you to build a golf course?
Mike, why did I do that? I was telling Fred, I am a golfer, and I am sort of a golf nut. And this is a true story. I have a house at the shore, and I was playing golf with some friends of mine at Seaview. And I think I was on the 6th hole, and we were like the 4th group on the tee. I said to my friends, this is it, we're out of here. We left, and we set about buying ground and building Galloway. It took us about 6 or 7 years to get it built between the zoning approvals. But all of us have to have our toys, and that's mine. It's a little hard to get on Galloway, but not real hard. But when you're on, we're designed to give you a unique experience. No stupid rules, no stupid policies, no stupid things. The joke at Galloway is we have 2 rules. Rule 1 is Vernon makes the rules, and Rule 2, when in doubt, refer to Rule 1, which pretty much describes the whole climate down there. I get to play a lot in Britain now, so I see the American version versus the British version. And it's nothing big. But why do you charge for range balls? Why do courses charge for tees? Why do you have all these rules? You guys aren't going to agree with what I'm going to tell you is, but almost every great golf course in America has been run by one man without a committee. And I learned that when we were operating Galloway, and it occurred to me after a few years that everything I decided to do, half the people didn't like it. Now, it wasn't always the same half. So you learn pretty soon, who cares? Just do whatever you want to do, and half the people are going to like it. So I think great businesses, and Steve Jobs is certainly the clearest example. And if you haven't read the Steve Jobs book, you should absolutely read it. Apple is a result of Jobs' willpower to make it happen. I would say the other thing that drives me crazy with golf courses in this state is we're having trouble growing grass. Let's tear down every tree. Now, every one of you in this room has heard this. At least in my part of the state, in the south part of the state, they've ruined a lot of golf courses tearing down trees. But it's all these little things. You know, it's nothing special. It's all these little things. So your question is online banking going to replace branch banking? When we were building commerce in scale in the 1990s, in this state primarily, the general feeling was the branch is dead, the ATM's going to replace it, then the online's going to replace it. None of that happened. And we used to do these reports at Commerce that our active online households went to the branch more than the non-online households. And what we came to learn is, A, the branch is the public face of the bank. Because remember, think about it, we're in the new account opening business. And second of all, the customer wants to use us whatever channel they want to use. Some days it's the branch, some days it's by phone, sometimes it's online. But nobody wants to be told which channel they have to use, either by our behavior or by price. Those of you men here that have tried to get your wife to shop in a channel you want know how that works. It doesn't work at all. So every study ever done up to the current day, and my experience in American Britain, is the branch is the key to the relationship. All these delivery channels work together. They're not opposed. Thank you all.